The story of Ararat, 1824 to 2024. Before this area was called Cardiff or even Whitchurch, it was dotted with hamlets and farms. The place where we now find ourselves was known as Waensrioder. In 1824, South Wales was at the cutting edge of the Industrial Revolution, but Cardiff remained a quiet town with a population of fewer than 2,000. And on this plot of land around 3 miles from Cardiff, a new Baptist church was established. It was acquired from the powerful landowner and industrialist Lord Tredegar. It was called Ararat, and many of the founding members were part of Lisvane Baptist Church. Baptists were a fast-growing presence in South Wales, with their emphasis on personal faith, baptism by full immersion, and congregational government. The 19th century witnessed hundreds of new Baptist chapels being established across Wales. Why did they call themselves Ararat? Well, it's said that these early pioneers were inspired by a geographical feature on Waensrioder. A small mound or slope on the field reminded them of Noah's Ark, resting on Mount Ararat. This would be a land of new beginnings. In 1829, the church called its first minister, the Reverend John Williams. 7 years later, a new gallery was added. By 1840, Cardiff had been transformed. The fabulously rich Bute family, owners of multiple coal mines and ironworks across South Wales, developed Cardiff docks into a world-class port. With the advent of the Taff Vale Railway Company, Wales was now trading with the world. By the late 1840s, Ararat had outgrown its first building, and work began on the new sanctuary, which opened in 1851. It cost £600, £82,000 in today's money. Ararat experienced waves of change in the 1870s. In 1876, the church installed its own indoor baptistry, after using the nearby brook Narrated Widelid for 50 years. By 1878, Cardiff's growing cosmopolitan population was changing the linguistic balance, and English had replaced Welsh as the dominant language. The church decided to make English the main language for services, using Welsh only on special occasions. Also in 1878, Ararat found a new way of making music, installing a harmonium and bringing to an end more than 50 years of unaccompanied singing. By the early 1900s, Ararat was in an optimistic mood. There was talk of the need of a new chapel for a new century. The Reverend D.G. Hughes, the minister from 1902 to 1906, spoke of his desire to build a cathedral on the site of the existing chapel. On Easter Monday, 1915, April the 5th, the present Ararat Baptist Church was officially opened. It was built at a cost of £3,000, about £275,000 in today's money. The new chapel seated 650 worshippers with a schoolroom to accommodate 200 children. Ararat lost a number of men in the Great War of 1914 to 1918, and a number of soldiers are buried in the graveyard. A succession of brief pastorates came to an end in 1919 with the induction of the Reverend Luther Jones. His ministry would last 24 years. Ararat also bought a manse to accommodate the new minister and his family. In 1934, Ararat's decision to allow the children to lead that year's anniversary services made the front page of the South Wales Echo. The children presented a dramatised life of Christ in the morning, afternoon and evening services, attracting a blizzard of critical correspondence. The Second World War also made its mark on Ararat. In 1941, an air raid damaged roofs and windows in the sanctuary and also in the manse. 130 people associated with the church served away from home during the war. 4 lost their lives: Leslie Davis, Gordon Hughes, Arthur Jones and Donald Selwood. But the 1940s proved strategically important for Ararat. 1943 saw the establishment of the 21st Cardiff Company of the Boys Brigade, followed a year later by the 17th Cardiff Company of the Girls Brigade. In 1944, a unit of American forces arrived. They camped on tents on the common and also in the wooden huts used then by the Sunday school. Some were billeted in the homes of Ararat members, and several attended church services. They left when the Normandy landings began in June 1944, and by way of thanks they planted an avenue of trees along the common. Reverend Luther Jones died suddenly in his sleep on Saturday the 24th of July 1944. He was succeeded in 1945 by the Reverend George Evans, a Welsh speaker from a church in Aberystwyth. This was an era of rapid building in the area. Most of the houses across the common date from the 1950s, and the church capitalised on this new opportunity to reach out to their new neighbours. In 1951, the Memorial Hall was opened in memory of Luther Jones. It cost more than £9,000 to build, more than $200,000 in today's money. By the time George Evans left Ararat in 1971 to become Baptist Union Area Superintendent for South Wales, Whitchurch had been recognised as part of the city of Cardiff, with a population of nearly 28,000. Ararat's next minister was the Reverend James Finlay, a Scot, and the church's first non-Welsh pastor. It was during his ministry that permission was sought to move the gravestones from the front of the church and to create the gardens which we enjoy today. As Ararat transitioned into the 1980s, two pioneering initiatives were created which are still with us today. The Reverend Roy Jenkins had moved to Ararat from Bangor in 1978, and with his wife Elizabeth he established a group which led to the Welsh Church's campaign Christians Against Torture. It still meets monthly, working and praying for a range of human rights concerns, especially the need to abolish torture and care for its victims, and to stand by Christians and others persecuted for their beliefs. This passion for practical Christianity also led to the establishment in 1986 of the Luncheon Club, providing a weekly meal for the area's older residents and offering a place of friendship and fellowship. It relied entirely on a battalion of volunteer cooks, waiters, waitresses and washer-uppers, as indeed it does today. From the 1990s onwards, Ararat was in expansive mood, coinciding with the arrival of the Reverend Gareth Evans. A new front porch was built in 1996, followed in 2002 by a two-storey extension, creating a new identity for Ararat as a community centre. This was also a period of energetic evangelism and growth, through the introduction of the Alpha Course, pub church, and the rollout of the Jesus video to thousands of homes in the area. The Reverend Oni Whittington became Ararat's first woman minister. She served alongside Gareth Evans from 1992 to 96. Ararat's passion to take the heart of the church into the community and to bring the heart of the community into the church took a new direction from 2010 onwards under the ministry of the Reverend Dave Hibben. He sowed the seed with a proposal for building a coffee shop at the side of the church. He left Ararat in 2015, and the idea was greatly developed during the ministry of the Reverend Naomi Dickerson, who'd been serving with him. A large new extension was planned, offering hospitality, friendship and spiritual growth to the community. Since its opening in 2018, the Ark and Community Centre have been welcoming hundreds of visitors each day, served by a team of staff and volunteers. In 2018, Naomi was joined by the Reverend Gethin Russell Jones, and they served together as co-ministers until 2022. When the COVID-19 pandemic gripped the world and places of worship were unable to open as usual for many months, Ararat quickly adjusted to the opportunities offered by new technology. In 2023, the church decided to reimagine the sanctuary as a place of flexible worship for the next generation. The 1915 bench pews were removed and replaced by chairs, allowing room and space for new initiatives. The extensive building work since 1996 have only been made possible by the generosity of church members who left substantial legacies. This has been a feature of Ararat's life from the very beginning. People have been touched by the needs of the community and given freely to God's work. On the face of it, Ararat in 2024 looks very different to our 1824 version. But we seek to continue the good work started then, serving the community in the name of Christ with hospitality in the Ark, gatherings in the community centre, messy church, children's work throughout the week, holiday clubs, groups for prayer, study and fellowship, creating an inclusive community, and, as from the very beginning, worshipping together on Sundays. Our last words belong to the Reverend Luther Jones. On the eve of Ararat's centenary in 1924, he wrote this: "However great the past was, the vision splendid still lies before us. May the present generation of worshippers at this church, as they read this story of the past, be inspired to attempt greater things for God in the future. We are the children of the dawn. Let the dawn spirit possess us, so that when the bicentenary will come to be written, some scribe will say of us, as we now say of the past, they prayed, they labored, they marched forward with God."